Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Trash Talk Experience. This is your boy Abob, Trey, and Sunny here with me, and we have big man Aadam. Aadam, what do you prefer?
Adam's fine.
Aadam joining us. How are you, bro?
Not too bad.
Aadam, for
a big
viewers,
man, you have a very low voice, by the way.
Voice, bro. Soft
First
spoken.
podcast, so I might once I get into it, I might raise my voice a little bit.
Aadam, for our viewers, do you mind taking a shirt off? It's not my request. It's a request of our viewers, bro. Like,
Nah, not right
No,
now.
no,
Maybe
no.
later on when it gets heated up.
He is nervous. He was saying so. Out of nervousness, he might sweat a lot
Like-
and then just take it
like
off again.
steam
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
blow
You
the
have to
steam
pay.
off.
You have to pay for that, son. It's a private show, brother.
Trey has been saying, Aadam wants to come on, but he described you as a bit of like a conspiracy nut to me.
I
don't
didn't
know if
say.
this
I
is
didn't
true.
say conspiracy nut. I said a skeptical personality.
No, he says conspiracy nut
I didn't
to
say
me.
conspiracy nut.
I
Is there-
believe Abob. for
Is
some
there any
reason.
truth to this?
Not really. Like, I just like to seek information.
Right.
Exactly.
Do you have like a general mistrust about like information that is out in media in general? Like, do you
Yeah.
look at everything skeptically?
Yeah, like the media and the government's lost me ever since the vaccines came out. I don't believe in anything.
Okay.
Yeah, you can call me a conspiracy nut, actually.
So you're a bit skeptical.
Yeah.
It's a fair thing, though. Like, I think you have to be skeptical of everything that comes out, because everything has an agenda behind it.
Where
Certain
do you get your
things.
news from? Like, where do you get your news from?
Everywhere.
YouTube comments and Facebook.
Yeah, depends where you're getting
My
your news
Twitter
from.
feed and Fox News.
Is that like so? If you're like just relying on like, or if something appears on TikTok or something appears on Instagram to know about what's happening, then I would be a bit worried. But if it's just like, oh, you seek out your own information.
So where do you seek information from? Like,
These
do
days,
your
yeah.
own research. Like, do you actually read papers? I don't know how to read papers, bro.
Bro, you
So
you
what
barely read
yeah.
a YouTube comment.
That is true. But the thing is, like, when people seek your own information, where do you start? Reddit comments aren't good enough. Wikipedia allegedly is nonsense.
The hard news is like all the news that we should care about, war going on, vaccine information and stuff like that. And those news, you need to be relying on a trustworthy news source. So if you're getting just like, if you read a Reddit comment and one person just said, oh, I read a study which stated this, that, the other, and you just base your your knowledge on that, obviously you're in the wrong. And we all should be smart enough not to be doing
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No. So, like, I always watch news and everything like that, just as an observer. Like, I try to keep sort of neutral. But when I do see some crazy stuff,
Yeah.
especially on Twitter, I'm like I lose brain cells and like I start to get swayed here and there. But I try to make sure I sort of look into it a bit more. Like for the vaccine, like people were saying, oh, like don't trust it, blah blah blah. It's got biotechnology and blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, you guys are crazy. Like everything like that.
Yeah.
And then like a few actual like research papers came out on like PubMed,
Yeah.
saying like, it actually like causes a wide variety of issues
Yeah.
in your DNA and everything
Yeah.
like that. And that was a published paper.
Yeah.
So that's when I actually started like going down this little rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you were saying, you didn't want to specifically talk about vaccine, but it happens with everything.
Yeah.
So it could be any topic. Like even people pick sides based on what's going on in their personal life, what they've experienced over the years. Like say in the African American community, they have a general just mistrust of vaccines and any sort of like medication because over the years they've endured so much from white America, say. So they tend to have a very negative view of like publications, research papers and so on because they still have that, not all African Americans, but the generality of them have this sentiment that, it's just these companies that used to persecute us back in the day. Now they're saying that these, vaccines are good for you. So, take them. So because of that historical context, they have a general mistrust. So people just like view everything from, their side of the thing. And the truth is so sort of always in the middle. It's not here or there. You have to be like smart enough to know that the truth is somewhere in the middle.
I agree with that. Like each person, like for example, what their social media environment is like. If they're like some anti-men or anti-women sort of guy, all they're going to be seeing is anti-men stuff or anti-women stuff.
Due
So
to like
then-
the algorithm and everything.
Yeah, on the algorithms.
gotcha.
The algorithm's going to like keep pumping you and like literally shaping your lens.
You watch one Andrew Tate or one Jordan Peterson video, bro. You're
Yeah.
getting reels all the time of like all of them or TikToks and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you reckon it's manifestation or is it actually algorithm? Because
Bro, it's algorithm. What are you
algorithm,
talking
bro.
about?
Like,
Manifestation,
bro.
Like, it's a code, bro.
So
Because-
like for example, like Andrew Tate is, or like let's say Andrew Tate is like very sort of anti-woman type.
no,
guy,
he
right?
is an anti-woman. He's just like
But he sees
Alright.
women as an object.
Yeah, pretty
He
much,
shares very controversial views, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna now see more of his videos, and as a result, your network of people who share the same views is gonna increase because you're gonna continue seeing videos from other people who share the same views and stuff like that. And you go into this like rabbit hole, and over time, you're gonna develop similar views or the same views, and you're gonna go deeper and deeper until you're of an extreme opinion in that, most likely, and then now you've developed an extreme opinion. You're probably gonna comment on other videos and stuff and say, no, what the hell, like I hate women, this, that, blah blah blah.
That's because I don't know if you saw the social dilemma or social
Yeah,
media.
yeah,
Dilemma. The people behind like Google or like Facebook or something, they literally said we can take someone who's like sort of center right or center left and shift them all the way to like the extremes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's why you see so many people who are like divided on like Twitter, for example.
Yeah.
Like I'll be scrolling on Twitter and I'll just see complete like crazy people in my eyes. They're
Yeah.
crazy. I'm like, how can you say these things? How do you believe these sort of things?
Yeah.
And it's because their social media's been like just put in a different. They've been
Yeah.
pigeonholed in a different
Yeah.
thing.
It's like an
And
echo chamber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been. Even I guess I've been pigeonholed into a different sort of thing, and it changes how I interact with people in the
Do you
real
reckon
world. as
social
well.
media is nonsense fundamentally?
Not nonsense, but like it does the job that it was designed for, but then it can be misused. Yeah, when we were talking about like misinformation through social media,
Mhm.
you can propagate the right information through social media as well. Like to get information out to the masses that vaccines are good for, you should take them, or we need to raise money for this cause or whatever. You can use social media for good, but then it can be used for bad, and that's what's starting to happen a lot more. That people don't trust where their news is coming
So do
from.
you think information should be controlled then?
No,
No.
It shouldn't be controlled, because that's like then you're going the complete opposite way where
It's-
one
it
person could have control.
depends on who gets to decide what information should be controlled or not.
Yeah.
Like Twitter, for example, back in the I think 2020 elections in the US.
Yeah.
It was like Trump versus Biden. The New York Post came out with like a story on Trump's son,
Yeah.
Hunter Biden, and they found a laptop which had like he had links to China, Ukraine, like
Yeah.
all this like scandalous stuff and like photos of him doing like meth or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And that came and they put that out on Twitter, and Twitter blocked the New York Post Instagram Twitter page,
Yeah.
and they blocked anyone else that shared that story.
Yeah.
And it was a legitimate story, and
Yeah.
it came out. It turned out afterwards that story was actually true. They
Yeah.
they proved it, and that could have swayed the election because you're literally muting one side and
Yeah.
literally
Allowing the other.
manipulating
Yeah.
with people's perspectives. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't be controlled. It should be like hate speech should be controlled.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How come?
'Cause hate speech is hate speech. It can cause
Like it's
actual
harming
violence.
people. Yeah.
Hate-
I know you can say like, oh, like freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, true. But hate speech is a bit different in
Yeah.
my
There's
opinion.
an issue when the discussion becomes emotional, and it's not an actual discussion anymore. It's just people hurling insults, which is one of the big problems with social media. You see it a lot on Reddit and Twitter and stuff like that.
It shouldn't be vetted out. Like if someone's talking shit, we say this person's a nonce,
no,
and then we
divisive-
categorize them as one,
Divisive opinions.
rather than
is-
take their voice away.
divisive opinions. There's no issue with that. Like if someone wants to hate women, if someone wants to like women, I don't give a shit, right? But it's about promoting the discourse between the two. When that discourse becomes like, oh, your mom's fat, your mom's a whore, this, that, it doesn't become productive anymore. And that's one of the issues with social media. All the discussions are so emotionally charged.
Okay, let's say you can get away with even calling someone names, but if you're promoting then like, or someone should harm this person, or if it gets to a stage where someone ends up harming someone, obviously we should stop it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
calling for violence.
If someone wrote on your house like, oh, son is a scum, let's kill him, you would obviously call the police on them, or like, oh yeah, check it out. So if someone does it on an online platform, there should be, some measures for them to be stopped in a way. But like,
See, that
speaking
much
of-
I agree with.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like just to stop them like existing is incorrect, because they're gonna just go somewhere else, make a different forum, and then do it in isolation.
Wait, so
Logic-
so
you're not
you're
stopping
saying
them
like
existing,
everyone
you're
should
just
do it out in
censoring-
the open so we know who's doing it.
Like recently, Marcus Rashford, he's a player for Man U. He got abused by a kid in Egypt. They said he's gonna be killed, and they're gonna kill Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
Rashford had people in Egypt actually put a case against the kid people think Rashford's being too immature about it, and like, you know, why is he pursuing explicit? But actions should have repercussions. That's not what I'm saying. But everyone should have an opinion. Like, if I don't like Marcus Rashford, I should be allowed to say I don't
but
like
depends
it.
what the kid said. What did he say? Like, Marcus Rashford shouldn't play for Manchester United. That's
right.
That's
if he
not-
doxed him and like put his address out. Like,
yeah.
and,
If
like,
he
say,
said
"Go
like, "Oh,
here,"
Marcus
that's
Rashford lives here, let's go beat him up."
I feel like I'm idiot arguing in this instance, but like,
No, I
Yeah,
get
I
your
think,
point.
yeah.
Like, you shouldn't. But like, if they say something outrageous, they should be jailed over it.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
I don't know about.
No, if they say like,
maybe
"Let's
not.
kill the president of Australia," that has some repercussions.
I wouldn't
like,
say jail him. Like,
Yeah, I
Well,
would
because you don't know if he's being serious or not. But
Yeah,
you
but, like,
definitely like censor him.
yeah.
You know. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but like every action should have a repercussion. So what do you mean? Like he should not be jailed? Like what's his deep punishment?
No, he said censor. That's the
Like
point.
censor, like,
It
say,
wouldn't
like,
be as
just-
extreme as taking him
Like
to jail
in
or
kids in America, like they say I'm gonna shoot a school now,
Oh, that's
No.
that's crazy. Yeah.
and no, but he hasn't shot anyone yet. So do we wait for him to like load his hair nines and shit and then go for it, or do we just nip the what's the word for it?
nip it in
Nip
the
it in
bud.
the bud. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Have you heard of a movie called Wag the Dog?
No.
No.
It was like a late 90s movie where so, and it's funnily enough like how this transpired. So they show in the movie there's like a president of America at the time. He went through like a scandal where he made advancement at an underage girl.
Okay.
To stop that story potentially breaking and then causing his like his presidency to end or whatever, they hired this like Hollywood like mogul like director, brought him in and said, okay, we're gonna create this fake narrative about a issue going on in Albania where people are being persecuted over there and we should start a war and go there and help out these people. And then they convinced the American public that, oh yeah, we should do an
Distract
intervention
them.
in Albania and go there. And then the story about the president dies out.
Yeah.
A month after this movie came out, the Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton scandal happened, where he had sexual relationship with her, and then they tried to make the claim that Clinton tried to do something similar, where he did a raid in Somalia, an air raid in Somalia, and that was to distract from the fact that he had this affair with a woman. So, like, governments are powerful enough that they can use social media or like media in general to confuse people or like take them away from what they're doing. That's what people like call like false flag events. Like something big must be happening for them to be distracting us from.
Can we play this
that
song
kind of
"This
thing.
Guy" by Skepta?
What happened?
Like, can we link to that song in here?
Why? What's the dude got to do with this?
Because transgenders.
No,
we're not talking about transgenders.
We're not talking about that.
No,
Say it.
Wait, what you were saying though,
Yeah.
I've seen that like for example, like the Johnny Depp thing, like that was crazy. Like you don't know if all the media was like just focusing on that just to like cover up something else.
Yeah.
And like I actually saw that happen. Like I hate to go back to vaccines and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but like the first day of like the Russia invaded Ukraine, the Pfizer or the FDA had to drop their first set of safety data on the vaccines.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a bombshell,
Yeah.
but it was the exact same day as the
What was from the data? Like, what came
Right,
out?
don't even get me into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
But the thing is, like, obviously, you like things happen in the world, and then the timing of it, like, at times things happen over time where we don't even like look at them. But at sometimes like things overlap, and we're like, okay, we tried to put things together.
It happened twice though. So
Yeah.
when as they advanced, it was like another big thing, and then
Yeah.
they dropped a second set of data on the exact same day. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not a coincidence. Like
Yeah.
it should be getting so much more attention.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
again,
I
like-
agree with you that
Yeah,
they do.
these
do-
things happen.
yeah,
Like, yeah, obviously these things
distractions.
happen. Yeah, like the Iraq war, they did other stuff around it. But like every major event that's happened, they've tried. There's always been something which happens where you're like, oh, this seems like a distraction rather than actual something we should focus on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so I
agree.
think there's a big issue with agenda behind information and stuff like that as well. So, for example, like you were saying with Russia, Ukraine, or like the Albanian example you gave, or
Yeah.
whatever it was, like there's always an agenda behind it, whether it's pro or anti or whatever it is. There's an agenda behind it, and we saw that with Facebook censoring, I think Trump or some shit, to sway votes the opposite way and stuff like that. And
No, Twitter did it. Twitter were like banned.
it was Facebook as well.
Oh no,
What
they
else?
had
Yeah.
that. Cambridge Analytica, where they actually helped Trump win it the
Okay,
first time.
right, yeah.
And then Twitter banned Trump when he was going for against Biden.
Yeah.
They banned him for
Hate speech.
Imagine
hate speech or
banning
whatever.
the president of the United States of Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The thing is, misinformation was
Misinformation about what?
COVID.
What misinformation?
What was
Like-
it?
Shit, bro.
Well,
I don't read
you-
stuff, man. Don't.
Like
Nah, you can't
as
just say
bad
this.
as
Yeah,
Trump
come
was,
on.
as bad as Trump was, he made us aware of a lot of things. Like he coined the term fake news, but then we just think fake news happens from the right side of the political spectrum, but the left side of the political spectrum
think
does
they're
the same
even
thing. So
worse.
yeah,
'Cause
they're even worse at times. So like,
I was seeing this video of Trump regarding Iraq war and like Israel, and the more I listen to him, I can't agree with lot of his ideology.
He's
In
very
retrospect.
he's very transparent. Like I'm not like saying like I don't want to seem like
Like
some,
controversial. No,
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
you now.
no,
Yeah.
but he's very transparent, and I think he gets a lot of hate because he's not tact.
yeah,
He's very like blunt.
Yeah.
And the media takes advantage of that.
yeah,
Like,
and
they'll-
then America is such like a big thing. Like there's other presidents around the world that are far worse than Trump when it comes to their policy, but they are transparent as well, and that's why they won. Like if you look at the president of Philippines, bro, this guy is crazy. Like he gets like drug people on like
Juto guy,
minor drug
whatever his
charges,
name is.
like
Yeah,
killed
yeah.
and stuff. So like there are like presidents that are like on the side of like, you know, being transparent, but they do crazy things at the same
Yeah.
time. But then these non-transparent people like Biden, they do like as soon as Biden came to power, war in Russia happens.
that's what I mean. Like when
Yeah.
Trump was in power, there's not one new war that.
But how
came
did he
about.
initiate this war though? Like, what's Biden got to do with this war?
Okay. So
Come on.
like for the past, so Trump, maybe you have a point of view, but
Yeah,
I'll say
go
as
for
well.
it,
So
yeah.
for the past 15 years, 10 to 15 years, Russia has been like saying to the West, stop expanding NATO towards us.
Yeah.
And they've been saying it. They haven't been like, they were trying to be diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
Like, stop. And they were ignoring it. So when Trump came into power, he's like, NATO should just be disbanded. Like it's a useless organization. We created it to defeat the Soviets or the USSR or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's done. Why is it still here? And he was pulling funding from it. So Trump was like against NATO
Yeah.
and against the expansion of it towards Russia. And Biden comes in, and I guess once Biden came in, I guess Russia knew that.
They're just
Russia
gonna
knew
like
that-
expand.
Yeah, Russia. They obviously had some intel that we don't know.
Yeah.
One of the things.
So then that's
is-
why he like jumped in, like they full like out of nowhere just started gathering troops up.
Yeah.
To the border. So
No, it's-
Biden, not Biden specifically, but America as a whole, like their agenda of expanding NATO is what caused this. I
Yeah.
don't know if that
So-
sounds
no,
really
no,
bad.
Yeah.
what I
there's a
said.
No, no, no. Yeah,
part of it-
I don't agree with this invasion. It's
Yeah.
terrible and it shouldn't.
Yeah, there's-
it's a
there's-
tragedy. Tragedy,
yeah,
nevertheless.
just because one thing is right or wrong doesn't mean the other thing.
Yeah. I don't
isn't
agree with
right or wrong
Putin,
either,
but
so-
like I'm just explaining why
Yeah.
America is
but
responsible
it's
for
just
that.
like, so if Ukraine becomes a part of NATO, all of a sudden Russia has an enemy right on its borders, like pushing through North America. They have all their weapons, whatever they need, right on the border of Russia. If Russia did the same thing to Mexico, you bet your ass
Yeah.
US would go to war with them.
Bro,
Yeah.
we're crying about like I'm not pro China or anything, but like we're like scared of China coming towards like whatever the ocean
South
that is.
China Sea and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
and like they're not even like right on our doorstep. But
Yeah.
if Ukraine joins NATO, like that's like that'd be crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think like America is responsible
Point
for it.
taken.
And it was very, very, very difficult to find any pro-Russia information online as well. Like I remember, like
Not that it's correct, by the way. Like obviously, pro-Russia news will be an agenda in itself, but like,
Mm.
you're not saying that
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
correct.
yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard.
Let
You should
people
be able
see-
to see both sides.
sides.
Yeah,
be able to see and let people decide
Yeah.
what because they're saying like denazification, which I don't even agree with, but surely there's a reason why they're saying this. Like surely there is some substance behind it. So I was actually interested, like what's he actually talking about?
Yeah.
And
Maybe
all
it's
this-
just to rile up their own people to support
Maybe,
this. Yeah, because there's a
probably.
lot of Russians that don't support this war either.
yeah,
Yeah. And so like, yeah, there's like, what we're saying is like, we should be able to view all of this information and come to a conclusion ourselves. They shouldn't be hiding information from
Yeah,
us
yeah.
and then saying, okay, this is the truth, so just believe it kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. But
And there shouldn't be any issues with providing information.
bro,
or
they
like-
just think we're like the majority of the people are dumb. That's the issue. Like
no,
they,
no.
yeah.
I mean, whether you're anti or pro-Russia or anti-vax or whatever it is, there shouldn't be any sort of demonizing of that side of the spectrum.
yeah.
I
Like
mean,
I should be able to hear anti-vaxxers say whatever they want. I should be able to hear people from Russia who support the invasion or whatever, to say whatever they want and hear their points and then respond to them.
Yeah.
Or like at least have that discourse openly without like emotionally insulting, etc.
Yeah, but depends where the discourse is happening. If it's happening on Facebook Messenger like we do, that's not productive at all, bro.
Yeah, no, but I mean in like public spaces like
Yeah.
on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah. Even on
Did
Twitter,
you-
like, do you think they're productive?
No, but the issue is anonymity and stuff, right? And
Yeah.
and more extreme people get more followers and influence and engagement.
It's the
et cetera, et cetera.
polarizing things that people
Yeah.
want to
Right?
want to follow.
Oh, that's why we're
people-
remaining anonymous.
Yeah.
It's
Because
good.
people don't want to support me saying, oh yeah, you know, women are okay, men are okay, you know, everyone's okay, you know, we live in a decent society.
If you
blah,
stand
blah.
for nothing, like then sorry.
Bro,
He was gonna say a quote.
You used to
It's
suck
coming out.
at every quote you say, bro.
It's like,
Are you guys in favor of like remaining, having the ability to be anonymous online?
sorry?
Having the
some
ability
degree,
to
yeah.
be anonymous online. So like all these like forums where people can remain anonymous and say everything. Are you guys in favor
To
of
some,
that?
yeah, to some
Yeah.
degree, but like something like, I think there should be an option to verify yourself. Like Twitter, I think Elon Musk was saying like,
Yeah.
oh, we want to like ID everyone, which I don't think should be mandatory, but if you want to, you can prove that you're not a bot or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you want to like verify yourself, people will actually like believe you a bit more.
Yeah.
What's the reason for being anonymous? Like, what's the rationale?
Well,
So you
people
don't
who are
want-
anonymous can spew like.
Not spew, just they can have a say and then
But thing
not
is,
come
this is
back
how
to them.
misinformation spreads. Like, did you hear about the Reddit mod that represented the free work movement?
No.
So Reddit had this movement,
Anti-work.
anti-work. Same shit, bro. Come on. Are we the correction?
It's not even linked to what we're talking about.
No,
Just
no,
let him
logic-
go, let him go.
No,
let him
logic
go.
is, if you're giving me advice in bodybuilding, I'll listen to you. But if you're giving advice me on like physics, why would I listen to you?
I've done a bit of physics.
in high school, bro. Since then, you haven't touched that stuff. But if you were to give me advice on like marketing, whatever, I would listen to you, maybe. But logic is with being anonymous, I have nothing to prove. And
No, but like
nothing to check
we're not
against.
saying that you believe these people just because someone writes a comment
but
on a
like in
website. You
Reddit,
believe what
like
they're saying.
thing is, like when you
No, his point is like for this
Anti-work.
anti-work thing, the guy turned out to be some like the guy looked like a loser basically. Everyone
No,
made
but
fun
he
of
was
him.
just a mod. They weren't like believing what he was saying.
they weren't believing. But like
No, but-
when I read it from like if he's a Reddit mod, he's been talking about anti-work or whatever
Yeah.
for the longest time, and he gets upvotes. I trust to believe whatever he says.
What do you say? What do you mean anti-work?
So
Anti-work
there
or
was- no,
anti-work?
anti-work. So there was a subreddit, and basically they were against working 9 to 5, 5 days a week because they think it ruins your life, etc., etc. Right? They don't want to be like wage slaves, basically.
True.
So
Yeah.
they talk about financial freedom and everything, right? And then it comes out this guy does an interview with the
Fox News, yeah.
Fox News, and he's some like lame guy who looks like he lives in the basement of his mum's like house,
typical
and he's-
incel.
Okay.
He dog walks like 2 times or 3 times a week, and that's it. That's all.
But
he
what's
does.
he do? Like, does he actually have a business, or is he just
No,
some
no,
bum?
just
that's
like
it.
randomly,
Okay,
just
but
like,
like-
So,
yeah.
so the point he's making is until you know that person, you support everything he's saying and stuff, and you sort of put whatever he says on a pedestal. But now that you found out he's like some bum who like is like basically
No, but when
Nobody.
did Reddit mod become some sort of like prestigious
Yeah,
job,
but
bro?
thing is, with anonymity, like there's nothing to verify against your claims.
Yeah.
Because if you say X, Y, Z, and I would trust you because I'm kind
No.
of like
No,
a
but this
believing
is like
person.
all soft news
Mm.
type stuff, like anti-work, this, that, the other. If someone was like on a Reddit post and was saying, you know, China is actually in the right, and then you say, okay, what do you have to prove this? They're like, oh, I'm a scholar based at this university, that university. Then it will be an issue. Then you're like, no, I want actual proof. I just don't want you claiming these things.
There's
I think a scholar, like by him saying he's a scholar, there's nothing to prove against until I actually can look in his credentials. Like, and by looking at his credentials, he says I work in the XYZ university, provides a photo of him, verified.
Well,
Only
well,
then will I believe.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm saying.
so
You
that's-
shouldn't believe just based on.
Yeah, so
the
that's what I'm
anonymity.
saying.
Yeah.
So like anonymity just gives you a more freedom, but it also I can't verify that. Sometimes information is not that clear cut, and I'm not expert in every single field. If someone's talking about this kind of like astrology or International Space Station system that he worked on, I have no idea. I'm probably gonna side with him. Like, and if he
No,
says-
why though?
Why?
Like,
Why?
that's your problem. You
No,
shouldn't
but
be
the
siding
thing
with
is-
him.
So that's what I would say. I'd support anonymity if if it prevents you or people from demonizing you. So you don't receive any backlash or anything for any opinions or anything.
Yeah.
You have.
Look, it's common sense. You have to. It's just common sense. If you can't verify them and they're saying all this thing and you believe them, you're just a bit of a sped.
Yeah.
Like
At the same time, like you're not as anonymous as you think you are online. Unless you're on like some like dark web type situation or you're on 4chan or whatever, you're not as anonymous. Like people, if they wanted to, can track you down by the email that you got registered on that website that you have a profile on.
Yeah.
They can track you down. So yeah, you're not as anonymous as you think. So like when you write those weird comments on people's YouTube videos, they can track it back to you.
Right.
Be careful.
Self-scrutiny, man.
Son's gonna delete his internet history now.
Yeah. Do you think there should be more pressure on social media companies, not just social media companies, but like internet service providers, blah, 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 to monitor or like moderate the internet?
like because you mentioned social. Sorry, do you want to?
No, go.
Okay, so you said like social media. The thing is, like, it's weird telling a private company what to do, because Twitter, for example, is a private company. And imagine a government going up to a private company saying, look, you shouldn't monitor, you should be doing this. But I think if you get as big as Twitter, where it actually sways political, like votes, elections and everything like that, the government should be able to say, well, there should be some rules on the social media, like, hey, look, you can't censor these sort of things. I think they should censor hate speech. Like, I do think so, like, because it's calling for violence, but political views and those sort of things.
Do you think they should be regulated?
I mean, how so?
Like all other industries are
legislation
regulated.
and
Like
stuff.
the energy market is regulated. Banks
Yeah,
are
exactly.
regulated.
Okay, well, so
pharmaceuticals are regulated.
So-
Why not social media?
well, it's because there's so many different social media sites, but Florida did introduce a bill where if you have more than 50 million users, they are going to regulate you. So I think if you do become big, you should be regulated because
Even if
there's-
it's like, for example, like a legislation they might bring in or something. I'm not saying this is the case, but for example, they might say, okay, you need to make sure that you're actively clearing out bots. So maybe, if you've got 100,000 users, get rid of 5,000 bots every year or every month or whatever. That's the sort of legislation that could go in that could help regulate social media and things like that, right?
yeah.
So I don't think anyone would be opposed to that. But that's an example of something that could go in that could help.
No, like say, should every country have like a regulator? Like for banks, we have 5 or 4 regulators in
What
Australia.
kind of regulations are we talking in place?
Like you know how banks, like if they are like money laundering, you need
but like
someone to
for
regulate.
social media in particular,
If
like in
there's-
Pakistan, you can't put blasphemous content on Twitter.
And
YouTube.
that's like a board that sits together
And you
like,
can't
that reviews it.
even disregarding blasphemous, you can't even put like atheistic content or the kind of content.
No,
So channels
no.
are banned in Pakistan.
We're just
Is it
talking
right?
about-
Is it wrong?
We're just talking about hate speech. We don't
No,
have any
so
issues
hate
with
It's
speech
not
is-
about anything.
No, hate speech is like you can hate anything and then you can feel personal about that. Like
No, but yeah, Pakistan is tricky because then they involve religion in these things, and then they obviously persecute minorities over there. So like Pakistan, what happens is like certain person just like misquote something. They read like a prophetic like quote or a hadith or whatever, and they misquoted it slightly. People can get away with murdering that person in
Really?
certain areas. Like that's how blasphemy law works over there.
That's
that
crazy.
if someone says something blasphemous, you can kill them. And then
See
these
you
people
later.
don't get jailed. Like obviously when there's like extreme cases, they are taken to jail, they are taken to court or
like
whatever.
Pakistan has banned some atheistic YouTubers.
I don't agree with that though.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's not regulation. That's just like I don't know what
That's
you want
just
to call
control.
it. Yeah, that's control.
Even
Yeah.
with regulation, where do you draw the line? Like if I say I dislike fat people, are you gonna regulate that? Or I hate fat people, you're gonna regulate that? Or bro, fat people are the worst scum on the earth. Like why the hell would some fat blob be able to like go on Twitter or something? Like where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I think you draw the line on hate speech, but what becomes
That
hate
seemed
speech?
like
yeah.
very personal, bro.
Yeah, I thought you were being serious for 1 second.
No, bro.
What the hell?
No.
Yeah.
But
Do
yeah,
you?
like where do you draw the line?
Do you though?
What?
I hate fat people. Okay. Anyway, and I don't mean regulation where like people are searching up something and then they get like flagged or like taken away. Just like what you were talking about, like they shouldn't have the power to like control the messages that are going out. Say Facebook shouldn't ban like certain messages going out because they think it disagrees with the popular sentiment type of thing. So there should be some sort of regulation in that sense. Bots, like there shouldn't be people who can control bots and sway stuff like that. So yeah, that type of regulation. But yeah, as I was saying, like banks are powerful. They have a lot of our people's money.
Yeah.
they are regulated to some extent. Banks get away with a lot of shady things as well, but they are regulated to a certain extent. Like if a bank does something shady, they'll have to pay a fine for it. Social media companies, there is nothing, because social media is very new. It's happened within the last 10, 15 years. These things have popped up. Before that, there was no like major social media that had 50 million users or whatever. So yeah, there should be some sort of regulatory board that monitors them. At least.
I think they're like, because I saw that article with the Australian government, and like they tried like telling Facebook to like pay a certain amount, and then Facebook just like stuck us the middle finger and like cut off all the media sites from our. I don't know, some weird thing happened. I couldn't really. I didn't know what happened, but
it happened like 2 weeks. So the thing was like on Facebook, they were saying like Sydney Morning Herald, whatever these newspapers are, all those pages, for them to be able to put their news content on it, the government is saying you would have to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then pay the government for it.
I don't
something.
agree with that.
Yeah, and then Facebook was like, okay, we just won't show these news articles. For 2 weeks, Australians couldn't go on Facebook and get a news article.
Yeah.
But then they were like, okay, this kind of messes it up for us.
How crazy is it that like by them doing that, they've changed they've swayed the government, the Australian government. For like
Well, they're bigger than the government.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like social media is bigger than a lot of governments. Even like the US, it wouldn't surprise me. Like they can brainwash like, population, so it's crazy.
Bro, like like Sun reminded me when he was talking about Pakistan. Like Pakistan, like WhatsApp is the thing. Like people just spew whatever through WhatsApp.
My mum gets WhatsApp messages of like,
and like it's just like a meme, bro. It's like
you told me about that.
parrots reciting the cools and everything.
yeah. It's just it looks like some like kid drew it on paint, bro. Like the you know how like people share like a news article. At least it look professional, like, oh, this is the major news, this is who said the quote, whatever. What they're sharing, it just looks like a meme, bro. Like some like kid put it together and they share it and they just believe it, all believe it.
Bro, I like the funniest shit was like 10 years ago or something. All the uncles would go on like YouTube and look up like miracles from Allah and stuff like that, and it'll come out with like there'll be like photos clearly like edited or like it's retarded, right?
Yeah.
And it would be like for example a seashell in the name, like in a vague shape of the
like
name
a cow
Allah.
skin or something.
Yeah.
Like they cut a tomato, it's like
And
Allah.
they'll be like, oh my god,
my kid was born with Allah written on his hand,
yeah.
and it's just like someone wrote it, bro. Like,
And there's some they like they Photoshop or like put like video edit like an angel on the Kaaba or something like that. Like and
my cousin used to have this like thing where it was like fish bones but with Allah written on them, and then he was like, this is an actual fish. I'm like, bro, I've seen it on 30 people's houses. How many fishes do you think have this?
To be fair though, my cousin does have a cat and it has like Allah vaguely written in Arabic.
Whatever, bro. It's Photoshop, bro.
Yeah.
No, I've seen it.
You can curl anything hair-wise and then make it.
But why would Allah write His name on a cat? That's my thing. Like you wanna have it written. You would have a majestic animal. Why cats, bro? Cats eat rodents for God's sake. Like, come on.
What's a majestic animal?
Like lions or something cooler.
But lions, lions do way worse.
I use those animals. Like, even dogs are better than cats, bro.
Bro, but in Islam, cats are like the thing, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, they're pure animals.
Bro, cats are actually like permitted in your house, whereas dogs
like,
aren't.
Nah, there were no cats in Arabia back in the day, bro.
Yes, they were, bro. There's cats are everywhere. Cats live in the desert.
Bro, the Egyptians used to worship the cats, mate. Do you know what you're talking about?
Do you know where Egypt is?
In the desert.
Yeah, it's in Africa.
Saudi Arabia is
Yeah, but it's connected.
No, not at all, bro.
Africa's connected to the Middle East.
So is Europe, bro. If you keep walking.
So that's
what we're saying. Animals everywhere.
Cats are everywhere,
no, but there's no hadith specifically about cats in particular.
That's misinformation.
Anyway, Adam, what do you prefer? Adam,
Bro, this is the start of the podcast.
Adam, thank you for being on. Thank you for being on. Did you have fun on your first podcast?
Yeah, it was fun. It was different. Thanks for having me on in this lovely studio.
He looked at Sun and said different.
No.
Definitely different. Anyway, thank you, Adam, once again for being on. We are recording another episode today, so we'll look the same in the next episode. So yeah. Anyway, you can follow us on our Instagram. Are we still doing TikTok?
Yes.
Okay. And you can follow us on our TikTok. You can watch this on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Gotcha.